Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article from PJ Media written by Victoria Taft. Now, this was published on November 11th. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to, because I'm going to start doing some videos where I try to keep my language clean and videos where I do my normal shtick of just turning off all the filters and sounding like Rocco from the Boondock Saints when he walks in to find all the Russians dead and that it was the McManus brothers that did it. This is one of those ones where I really want to get a bit foul-mouthed here. And I'm thinking if I'm going to do a foul-mouthed one, it'll have FMN as a lead-in, on the title, like of the video title. So that you know it's foul-mouthed news and you know what you're getting. So if you don't want to listen to my foul-mouth, you don't have to. But yeah, because you know what? Screw it. I'm going to swear in this one because this title kind of irks me. Because they're talking about cluelessness. Victoria here and PJ Media are talking about cluelessness, and they're fucking clueless themselves. They are completely fucking clueless. All right, with stupefying cluelessness, media criticizes conservative tech refugees for fleeing censorship. They're not clueless. What this has come down to is they created a mass exodus of millions of users from both Facebook and Twitter. And I'm sure the same thing happened with YouTube. I'm sure. But across Silicon Valley, we'll say, they saw a massive loss of users. And those users went to alt tech. Okay? They went to Parler. They went to Gab. As alternatives to Twitter. Okay? They went to, say, Minds as an alternative to Facebook. Okay? With YouTube, I'm sure BitChute has seen an increase in users. Because Parler is pushing, Parler, Dan Bongino has a stake in it, and he has a stake in Rumble. They're pushing Rumble over there, so I'm sure they've had an increase in users. Odyssey, which is, the front end morph now for a library. I'm sure both are seeing an increase in users. All right, when they know the videos. They created a situation where millions of people decided, I've had enough. And the thing is, they need to control the narrative and by extension, control people's minds. Or at least they're trying to. Let me rephrase that. Okay. They want to control the narrative, so by extension, they can control people's minds. The problem with what's going on here is you just had millions of people say, fuck you, and walk off. You no longer have their eyes. You no longer can influence and tell them how to think, how to feel. They've gone someplace else where you don't have any control over them through manipulation or however else you want to look at it, whether it's like manipulation through like what Twitter shows you or Facebook shows you, or manipulation because you think they're buying into the legacy media bullshit, and you can control them by just inundating them with more and more supposed authoritative sources. That's what they're not clueless. They're afraid. This is damage control. This is truly damage control. That's why they're criticizing conservative tech refugees. That's exactly why they're doing this. Which, excuse me here. Chrome or Chromium here does this to me every so often. Okay. So now, looking at the title here, they're actually the clueless ones because they don't realize this is a reaction to these people leaving, and they're freaking out over it. Let's see what PJ Media and Victoria have to say here. Twitter censors the President of the United States of America for making claims media tech giants deem are in dispute. People on Facebook are prevented from sharing stories about election fraud because the ones and zeros working in content moderation say claims in a lawsuit aren't true. Well, that's because sworn affidavits to them aren't true, even though these people are risking perjury. They're saying it's not true. You're saying they're clueless, and you're literally talking about how they're censoring things. This is out of fear. They are afraid. They can't control the narrative. They can't control the dissemination of information because you have to control the dissemination of information, okay? Because you control that. You control what they see. You control people. You can shape society how you want if you have that type of control, and people are oblivious to it. Because if they're getting information that they believe is trusted, it's going to shape their perception on things. And they don't have that control now. Everything's racist, sexist, iffy, and off-putting for child content moderators who apparently believe that media is made for censoring. They believe they are the firewall protecting those dumb adults from bad information because they know what's best. And this is another thing. They're attacking these moderators, okay? Which they're ignoring the fact that Facebook and Twitter have a problem with their moderators getting, woken up to shit. All right? They've literally had to implement programs where they deprogram them from reality and bring them back into the fold. It's like a cult. Because, oh no, them being content moderators is like, it's turning them into racist Nazis and all this other stuff. They were spouting this after 2016, and they talked about these programs they created. You're completely clueless at PJ Media. What the fuck? You people, you completely missed the mark in this article. You also don't realize those child moderators, as you put it, they're acting from orders from higher up. And the people that gave those orders are acting from people higher up. And it goes all the way to the tops of the companies, which, at least on the note of Twitter, Jack Dorsey's a puppet CEO as far as everything I've seen. One of his handlers is that Indian that was on Joe Rogan, the attorney there. She's clearly one of his handlers. Okay. And deals with the people who actually run the company, because if you start a company, they might make you a paper CEO because they want you as the face of the company, but they're going to actually run it. And that's what Dorsey is. But it goes to the people that have their hand up his ass as their puppet. It goes to those people. And they're the ones that are dictating top down. Okay, Zuckerberg, Facebook, dictating top down. Susan Wojciechowska whiskey. Okay, I mean, obviously I'm making fun of her name. Well, making the fun of the unpronounceability of her name. But yeah, her. She's ordering it from the top down, but that's coming from Alphabet top down. You don't think Pichai is saying you need to do this shit? Bullshit. They all freaked out in 2016. This is from on high. This is coming from their masters, those child moderators. Which they try to find the Kool-Aid drinkers, the true believers, to be the moderators. So that they don't have to sit there and worry about them. Or at least they thought. They don't have to worry about them, not doing things the way they want. But because they've seen all this content and they've had to watch this content, they've kind of had their eyes opened. Making them content moderators sent them down a rabbit hole, why they had to create their deprogramming shit to bring them back into the fold at these companies like Facebook and Twitter. Know thy enemy. And conservatives are responding by getting out. More conservative Twitter, Google, YouTube, and Facebook users are like businesses in California. Their signs are still up, but they expanded somewhere else. Parler, MeWe, Rumble, and Gab are blowing up in subscriptions, which I love how they leave out BitChute. They don't want BitChute as part of this for whatever reason, these conservative people. It's almost like, what the hell? Well, we're going to leave BitChute out of this. When BitChute has been the only platform that's been out there for a while that has a very large user base of conservatives, mind you. I have more interaction there. I get more views, more likes, more comments. I get more everything there. Okay. And They're the only ones that have fought for free speech. Flat out said, yep, free speech. Go check out Mr. Medicare's video on, gender reassignment surgery. Very graphic, but they kept it up. Because he was calling out the whole thing, and it was free speech. You think Parler's going to do something like that? I can't trust him if they would leave something like that up. So can't leave out BitChute on this one. Parler, I'm still kind of out on. I don't know. They might go the route of Twitter at some point. Who knows? Gab. Yeah. Guy claims, the founder claims, hey, for free speech. Then decides, well, this isn't free speech. This isn't free speech. This isn't free speech. And it said that certain things aren't free speech. Like he doesn't think porn is free speech. Even though the Supreme Court says it is. And it's not about porn on his platform. He just says, period. It's not. And I don't trust someone who will say something. I mean, whether you agree with porn or not, but if he'll say that's a limit and say that that's not free speech, even though the Supreme Court has, can you trust someone like that? I don't know. But see, they're just trying to play up these particular sites. It used to be that standing against censorship was noble, but the legacy news media have now decided there's something sinister about this wave of tech refugees seeking a better, more honest place to call home. Well, because you're clueless, you don't understand why this is going on, because you think this is a situation where they're just criticizing. No, they're scared shitless. This is about trying to get people back in the fold. Do you think that they're not going to now try to get Parler shut down like they tried Gab? You don't think that they're going to do that? Which Parler, if it happens, you better hope that they control their servers, because they could end up like Gab, having to try to switch over and deal with that and get shut down. And they go, oh, we shut them down. It'll probably be permanent. And then have to scramble to try to save your own ass like they did over at Gab. You don't know. This is just the beginning. They're going to go after these sites. You're saying they're criticizing them. They're scared of these sites. They're going to try to take them down. A USA Today story imputes selfish and sinister motives to the sudden popularity of these new social media platforms. Conservatives increasingly are congregating on social media outlets designed specifically for people who think like them. Oh, no. So wait a minute. Isn't that like Twitter? Isn't that like Facebook? I mean, well, Facebook kind of has become more that way, but Twitter is that way. It's left-wing friggin' like heaven. All you people hang out there, and all you do is try to find a way to remove the right. You've turned that into an echo chamber. And now that you have, and the people on that are independent, or we'll just say right of Karl Marx, the people that are right of Karl Marx that aren't on Twitter, you don't like the fact that they're not being inundated with your bullshit. Get over yourselves. You don't like the fact that they're able to find like-minded people, and they're able to organize, and they're able to communicate with each other and not be censored. Get over it. But you can't, because you're scared right now. You're realizing you're losing your grip on the narrative, the ability to control perception. And PJ Media doesn't understand that. I mean, seriously. Without irony, people observing the Exodus claim it must be because conservatives want to stay in their own echo chambers. And surely there's truth to wanting to be with like-minded people. That's why the left loves legacy social media. They run it, contour content to their way of thinking, and censor, report, and hector people. I think you mean heckle people. Heckle people. And heckle people who don't think like them. This may sound like a leftist love fest, and it is, but being a conservative on these social media sites is like going to dinner at your sister's, where she thinks it's perfectly okay to call you a hoe because you disagree with her. See, this is the thing. They completely missed the mark on this. The whole echo chamber thing is a deflection. It's cover. This scares them. You had, 4.5 million people join Parler? Those numbers scare them shitless. Because they know that's just the beginning. could start a continuous flow over to Parler where they're not going to have that control. They know this. They're scared. Realize this. Over at PJ Media. With no self-reflection, a reporter at the USA Today constructs a narrative about the exodus claiming it's all conservatives' fault because they're closed-minded and extremist. America's crisis of political segregation. We increasingly don't live alongside, associate with, or even marry people who think differently from us. Is increasingly leading conservatives to congregate together on social media outlets designed specifically for them who think like them. Now, this is what's funny. What they want, like, they're looking at this and they don't grasp this. What they're talking about here is they say people who think differently from us. They're the ones that are doing this. This is all about projection. Because a conservative, I mean, up until, say, 2016, would marry a liberal. Not really the other way around. Be more willing to marry a person that leans more left. These days, not so much. They created that situation, and they're the ones that don't like to go and marry someone who, say, is a conservative. You might have the minority of the group, of the left that would, but it's not a majority. A lot more people on the right would. This is projection, plain and simple. The recent rise of Parler, as well as other social media alternatives that appeal primarily to conservatives and that got their start largely by attracting the far right, raises the specter of further political polarization through the digital means. Now, and another thing, you should realize this is complete bullshit when they're using the label far right. Far right is a boogeyman. Okay? They no longer have the alt-right, so now it's the far right. It's a boogeyman. This is them lashing out. This is them scared. This is them trying to take control. This is laying the groundwork for when Parler and Gab has them go out. When they go after Parler, they go after Gab again. They're going to go after, like, say, all these other sites that are alternative. They're going to try to take them down, and they're going to try to bring people back into the fold. They're going to try this. This is their precursor. This is the type of narrative that's going to be worked on. I'm not saying that these people are inside some conspiracy, but this is the mentality that they see things on how they can bring it about. This is their narrative. They've been using this narrative for a while now because with Gab before, okay, when they first started out, with BitChute, they've tried it. They're recycling the same old bullshit. But see, you don't want to look at that. Parler and others, like MeWe and Gab, are gaining momentum with a promise not to censor their users for behavior that might violate the policies of their rivals. Like saying, what, there's two genders? Oh, because you need to get banned for that because that's hate speech. Because Twitter does that. Saying learn to code to someone, especially if they're in the legacy media, that gets you banned on Twitter. Doesn't get you banned on Parler. Doesn't get you banned anywhere else. Like on the note of alt tech. But much like the social media site Gab, Parler has quickly attracted the extremist crowd, in addition to self-proclaimed center-right conservatives like Reed. Groups from the far-right Proud Boys, which include large numbers of white supremacists to heavily armed anti-government militias, have gathered on the site and spread conspiracy theories, racist memes, and false claims of election fraud. See, this is what's funny. They don't want to make this about their big thing with this is the election, but they put the election last because they wanted to lead off with other stuff to say that it's this other stuff. They want you to look at these things. This is distraction. Okay, this is misdirection. They're saying, like, because like this thing is like, oh, look at Parler, it's becoming like Gab. They attracted extremists because people from the right went there. They're extremists now. Okay, but the big thing, takeaway from this part, was the groups from the far-right Proud Boys, which include large numbers of white supremacists. They have to throw in the white supremacist thing, even though Tario, the leader of the Proud Boys, is a Afro-Cuban. So, it isn't the whole thing now. It's just, which includes large numbers of white supremacists, because they can't say that they're all white supremacists, because with Tario running the show, it doesn't fly. To heavily armed anti-government militias, so basically the Oath Keepers, that gather on the site to spread conspiracy theories. You mean they're not pushing the corporate narrative and they're actually looking at legit shit that counters it, but whatever. And racist memes and false claims of election fraud. So they have to throw in the racist memes because you're racist, sexist, misogynist. They're trying to make it look like this is misdirection. They're trying to make it look like those are the important things. And the false claims of the election fraud that they're claiming is, here, it's false. That's their main thing with their issue. Okay. They don't want to look at the fact of all the affidavits. They don't want to look at the fact of all the forensics that have been done to this point that show that really shady shit's going on. Election fraud, false claims of election fraud. Because they're scared shitless of this. They don't want people. They're trying to put the fear in to people on the left because they're scared. They don't want those people to maybe go and sign up for Parler and get a narrative, get information, get news that counters the bullshit they're pushing. Leftists believe Donald Trump is a Russian secret agent. Hillary would have been elected, but for Facebook ads. The black man running Proud Boys is a white nationalist, and Brett Kavanaugh was a serial rapist who got out red cups with roofies. But sure, conservatives are weirdos. They have a good point there, but they've completely missed what's going on here. They think they're so smart. They're hiring their own farts like Sargon. Best way to put it. I mean, he would have caught this, but they're so smug. They're so high on huffing their own shit that the thing that they should be looking at, they're ignoring. Seriously, they don't understand what's really going on here. Anyway, I think it's inevitable that we'll see the rise of conservative, separate or distinct social media, said Jonathan Rauch, a senior fellow and U.S. political scholar at the Brookings Institute, a Washington-based think tank. It's only a question where and how fast it will form and how extreme and partisan it will become. Now, what's funny is they don't have problems with, say, all the people that congregate for, the Fandom Menace, for example. I mean, a lot of them are on Twitter, but they congregate in forums and stuff like that. I'm surprised they haven't tried to lump them in here. Because the Fandom Menace calls out all the identity politics and the sexist, racist bullshit in Hollywood. I mean, the Fandom Menace got Disney to say, oh shit, woke is going to make us go broke, and tell all their talent to shut the fuck up. Stop tweeting the leftist shit. Told their staff, the employees, like management even, to shut the fuck up. Their directors to shut the fuck up. We're here to make money. You want to work for Disney, you cut the shit. Fandom Menace did that. I'm surprised they're not getting rolled in with this shit. Seriously. Because they're trying to make this one huge group. They might as well extend it and envelop them. And call them far right too, even though a lot of them aren't even remotely far right. But it would be something surprised they haven't done it. Seriously. The mainstream press and their allies in academia and think tank world believe leftist beliefs are the standard by which all other thoughts are measured. That's how far they've moved. All other thoughts is extreme and partisan. Or this guy might be right. Everyone's welcome to these newer sites. So anyway, anyone is welcome to these newer sites, LOL. If you hear free speech zone and automatically think conservative, they will take that as a compliment. No, because free speech is free speech. Anyone should like it on either side of the false left-right paradigm, but idiots like you on the left and others have been convinced that free speech is bad. If something that hurts someone's feelings is said, it's hate speech and therefore it's not free speech. And you people can't deal with that. USA Today reports that Parler was the most downloaded app on Tuesday. The user base has nearly doubled in a week. A Facebook group urging people to leave the social site on November 13th has nearly 500,000 members. That's a pretty good take. That should probably that should have contributed or will contribute over the time, over a period to a large influx, if it already hasn't contributed to the substantial numbers they've taken in now. Instead of taking this as a market clue from Facebook's customers, remember, users aren't customers. They are a product in these legacy social media sites. The tech companies believe they are right and their users are wrong. In short, they think you're simply too stupid, for example, to divine what President Trump says on a daily basis, so they censor the leader of the free world. This galled a man who told USA Today hyperbole is where he lives and plays. It feels like they don't believe we have the intelligence to filter through hyperbole and figure out the truth from error. Now, here's the thing. This is how it shows how clueless PJ Media is in Victoria. Because they're saying they think you're too stupid. No, it's not that they think people are too stupid. Quite to the contrary. They're afraid that people are smart enough to figure shit out on their own. They're afraid that people, if they can't control the flow of information, the narrative, and everything else, okay, and by extension, as I've said, the people, they're fucked. Because if people can get information from elsewhere, they're going to make up their own minds. PJ Media needs to get a clue. Seriously. But anyway, so, figure hyperbole out from figure the truth area. But anyway, they don't. This isn't hard. When a cadre of tech giants think you're too stupid to conduct your own life and flow of information, and that you've dropped several IQ points when you joined their social media platforms, who's the one with the problem? You are doing fine, and then boom, became a Facebook user and devolved into a monster. Half the country is racist all of a sudden. See, they don't understand. This has nothing to do with them thinking you're dumb. They're afraid people are smart because as a group, as a mob, as a large group, people are stupid. But the individual tends to be smart. And the only way they control people is through the mob mentality that they've created on social media. All right, on Silicon Valley's social media. Look at how the left reacts. They've created a mob. You have a mob of people. The individual has been worked out of the equation because the individual can actually figure something out and go, oh shit, probably not a good idea. Or, yeah, they're playing a shady fucking game. But if you keep them in the group mentality mode, okay, as a group, again, they are stupid and you can manipulate them. And when you have people going off on their own, yes, they might find, in-group preference a thing and they might congregate in a group. But it's not like the idea of the mob mentality that they've created in Silicon Valley because they're the ones pushing through controlling things with algorithms and everything else, pushing a certain thing that creates the mob mentality. But PJ Media doesn't get this. This is America in 2020, said Josh Pasek, an expert on political communication and misinformation and a professor at the University of Michigan. We're defriending people over politics. We have an urban-rural divide. We have a racial divide. At the end of the day, what do you end up with? You end up with an increasingly segmented society. Well, first off, okay, the left created all of this because it used to be because racism up until Obama was it was on the decline and was pretty much dead. He stirred it up during his term because he needed that. He wanted to destabilize the country. That's why he allowed for those bullshit hands up, debunked hands up, don't shoot narratives to be pushed. That's why he fed the mob mentality. Oh, we got to investigate and prosecute these officers. And the Democrats in those cities did that. So they created that. Okay. And this idea of, we're defriending people over politics. Again, the left is the overwhelming reason that this is going on. Because they're the ones, oh, you're a Trump supporter? Well, screw you. You're not my friend. What do you expect? Again, that's on you guys. This urban-rural divide, this is the thing. You've created an indoctrination system in these urban areas. And the people that are outside them, they've managed to avoid them and remain relatively unscathed. So they're not drinking the Kool-Aid. They're not buying your bullshit. And you don't like that, because it used to be they would roll over and you'd get what you wanted, because you'd be like, we want an inch, and you'd take 10 feet. But now you have people going, not happening. Screw you. You have the flyover part of the country, the Rust Belt, and other areas, standing up for themselves, and you don't like that. And this idea of a racial divide, again, created by Obama. Fabricated and created by Obama and the Democrats during his presidency. This is all on you guys, not the people right of Karl Marx. Oh, almost done here. There's a tried and true saying from church that goes something like, if you're feeling distant from God, who moved? Not to put conservatives in God's category. In the God category. But who are the people segmenting society? Who are those defriending people over politics? Conservatives and classical liberals who are doing just fine, and then all of a sudden they were Nazis. Actually, it's most of the people on the left that are doing it. You are still fucking clueless. It's the people on the left going, I'm not your friend anymore. You don't even understand that. PJ Media is so clueless. Oh, it's the right that's ending friendships. No, it's the left. More overwhelmingly than the right. Conservatives are sick of it. They're voting with their feet. They're getting out and going to a place where they won't be called an ist or a phobe for calling Maxine Waters a horrible person because she told her constituents to mob Republicans. Leftist social media will ignore these market tells at their peril, so be it. And see, they're completely clueless. I mean, this idea that it's the conservatives that are ending friendships is funny. You have people on the left ending intimate relationships. Okay, you have them ending ties with their families. And it's the right that's saying that they're sick of it, and they're doing it. No, you don't even understand the right. This is why I covered this. This is complete horseshit. They got Victoria, okay, and PJ Media here are completely clueless. They don't understand what's going on here. And people are going to them to get a clue. And they're blowing smoke up their ass. They're not laying it out what's really going on. And it's either because they're fucking clueless or they're dishonest. That's up for you to decide. I'm thinking they're clueless myself. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm leaving things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.